Hello everyone, in this 5-minute video I'm going to tell you how Blar can help you optimize your Django endpoint. I managed to get my queries down from 158 to just 13 queries, and the time taken for these queries from 300 milliseconds to under 100 milliseconds. Stay tuned and see how I did it. In this little example, we are going to show you how we are going to optimize the endpoint that's in charge of bringing us all of the chat rooms. This is quite a complex endpoint as it has to join lots of information together in order for us to show the correct information in the front end. So we'll start by calling this endpoint in our backend on our local host, but using Django debug toolbar. As you can see right here, we are doing 158 queries and it's taking around 300 milliseconds to complete. So what I did here was prompt Blar to help me fix this error. So I tell him a bit of the problems. We're doing too many queries, too many duplicate and similar queries. I tell him what are the most duplicated queries. In this case are a select user that's located in the get trigger. And the second one, it's a select company that's located elsewhere. I tell it a bit of the problem and I prompt him this. So what I do is go to Blar, select a starting point. In this case, I know it's the chat room API. So I select the chat rooms API as my starting point. Then I choose an agent. I want to optimize this endpoint. So I create this new chat room. Here I prompt this extract prompt to Blar. And as you can see here, Blar is already thinking and exploring different functions and files inside my code. In this case, the get function, etc., etc. So in order to save a little bit of time, I already prompted Blar with this exact same prompt, and we'll see what Blar responded. So its first response was that I should look into this get trigger serializer and this get user serializer. It tells me to make sure I use the select related and prefetch related from base users and code errors objects. It also tells me to review the selectors.py, and it tells me make sure that all related objects needed by the output serializers are fetched in the initial query. So then what I do is ask him, can you add for me these missing prefetches? And that's exactly what Blar does. In the selectors, it tells me to add this line right here. So that's what I'll do. I come to the prefetch and I add this line. I click save. I'll wait a few seconds. And if I run my query again, it's not ready yet. There you go. You can see we are already down to 112 queries. That's a good start. But it's not enough. We still have 51 duplicate queries from the company. So that's what I prompt Blar next. Okay, I still have 51 duplicated queries here. And here he tells me again, you should prefetch the company. So that's exactly what I'll do. I'll prefetch the company right here, click save, wait a few seconds for it to boot up, and run this endpoint again. As you can see, we're already down to 63 queries and 118 milliseconds. These are great progress, but we can go even further. So here we have another query that's very similar and repeated many times. So I asked Blar, hey, this query right here, it's repeated lots of time. Could you add this query instead of in the serializer? Could you add it to the actual query? So that's what I prompt Blar, and here's what it suggests me to do. It tells me to add this annotate right here. So that's what I do. I add the missing imports. So here it exists, outer ref. And finally, Blar didn't tell me in this case to change the serializer, but I asked him, should I change the serializer as well? And he tells me, yes, you should change the serializer to this. So that's exactly what I do. Come here, change the serializer instead of this to this. I indent it, click save. It's loading. I run the query once again. Here you go. And right now we are down to 13 queries and less than 100 milliseconds. So we managed to reduce 10 times the amount of queries and 1/3 of the time taken for this endpoint to run, just using Blar, a couple of prompts, and in a very short time. Thank you.